Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time on here, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you could get notified whenever we post any new tutorial. In today's channel, I'm going to be teaching you how I made this beautiful dress. If this is what you're interested in, you would want to watch this video till the end. Without wasting much of your time, let's get into the tutorial. So for this dress, I'm going to be having my tape, my curve ruler, my scissors, my office pin, my straight ruler. I'll be having my chalk and my zipper. Then for the fabric, I'm going to be making use of 2 yards of crepe and 2 yards of my chantilly lace. Depends on how big or how small you are. So I have 2 yards of chantilly lace, 2 yards of crepe, and 1 yard of my black lining. Though at the end you're going to notice that the lining wasn't enough. So if you want to achieve this, you're going to be making use of 2 yards of lining. So what I'll be doing next is to achieve my shoulder length. So my shoulder area, I'm going to be marking it down and I'm going to be making a straight line out of it, just the way I am doing. That is going to be our starting point. In a while, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. We're just doing that to indicate our starting point. So from our starting point, I'm going to take my tape to mark down my bust length, my waist length, my hip length, and the length of my dress. So watch me do so. So from the shoulder area, I'm going to be coming down for my bust length. And my bust length, I'm going to mark it down. Then from there, I'm going to be marking my waistline, my hip line, and the length of this dress. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark a straight line. That part where I'm marking a straight line is my bust length. Then after that, I'm going to be marking a straight line to my waist length, and I'm going to be doing same thing to my hip length and to my dress length. That's my M length. So from that part, for you not to get confused, I was supposed to do this on my pattern paper, but I noticed that my pattern paper is finished, so I had to just do it on a black fabric. So I'm going to be labeling them, my bust length, my waist length, so you don't get confused, my hip length and my M length. So that part is going to be my shoulder line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to take my neck measurement, and for that I'm going to be making use of, for my neck width, I'm going to be using less than 3 inches, and for my neck depth I'm going to be using less than 3 inches. This might not actually work for everybody. If you know what works for you for your neck part, you're going to use it. Some might use 3 for their neck width and 2 for their neck depth. So just know what is good for you. Remember, we're making a turtleneck dress, so know the perfect size of your neck, because my measurements might not work for you. So after taking my neck measurement, I'm going to curve it just like that, the way you see me do now. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement divided by 2 is going to give me 9. So I'm going to mark that 9 all the way there, and I'm going to make a straight line out of it. So that straight line is going to serve as our chest line. You can use your free hand to mark this. You mustn't use your ruler, but why we're using the ruler is for us to achieve it. So I'm going to take from that shoulder, my shoulder measurement, I'm going to achieve my armhole. And to get your armhole, you're going to divide your bust measurement by 6, and whatever you get, you're going to be adding 1.5 inches to it. So my bust measurement divided by 6 is going to give me 7.5. So I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch to it, which is going to make it 9. So that is how I'm going to derive my armhole measurement. So I'm going to mark 9, and I'm going to use my ruler to make a straight line there. So that part, I'm going to make a straight line from my shoulder to that armhole measurement I just got. And for the other side, I'm also going to make a straight line for my chest area. So what we're going to be doing next is to take 1 inch down for our shoulder slope. So from there, I'm going to mark it all the way inside my neck area. You can use your free hand, you can use your ruler, whichever way you want to do it. So this will serve as our shoulder slope, and we're going to make a straight line just like this. So the next thing I'm going to do now, like I said before, in that armhole area where we got 9, I'm going to be marking a straight line there. It's going to be serving as my chest area. After this, I'm going to be labeling it my chest area. So what we're going to be having is my chest line, my bust line, my waistline, my hip line, and my M line. I hope you don't get confused, but if you don't understand, you can rewatch this video as many times as possible, and I know you're going to understand. So this is it, guys. I'm just trying to label that side my chest line. So this is what we got. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take the measurement of my bust, and to get that, you're going to divide your bust measurement into 4. Sorry guys, you're going to divide your bust measurements into 4, and whatever you get, you're going to mark it down there. Watch me closely, guys. Whatever I repeat, from the chest line, not from the bust line, from the chest line, you're going to be getting your bust measurements. You're going to be dividing your bust measurements into 4, and whatever it gives you, you're going to mark it just like that. So the next thing I am going to do is to get my armhole curve, and for that, I'm going to, from that shoulder slope to my chest line where I marked, I'm going to be dividing it into 2. Whatever I get, if I'm getting 8, I'm going to divide it by 4. Then by the side, I'm going to come down by 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to make a curve out of it. You can use your free hand, you can use your curve ruler, whichever way you want. So I'm just trying to connect that from the shoulder slope to the part I got 1/4 inch, and to the part I got the length of my bust. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get our darts, because if you look closely, you're going to see a dart by the side of the dress. So what I'll be doing is to divide my nipple to nipple into 2, and my nipple to nipple is 8, so I'm going to be dividing it by 2. That will give me 4. So I'm going to be taking 4 from the bust length to the hip length. I'll take 4 at the bust length, 4 at the waistline, 4 at the hip line. So I'm going to be marking a straight line from that bust line to the hip line. I'm going to be making a straight line out of it. So after that, what I'm going to be doing next is to take 1 inch. I'm going to be taking 1 inch from that bust line down. I'm going to take 1 inch down. Then from the waistline, I'm going to be taking out 1/2 inch, and from the other part, I'm going to be taking 1/2 inch. So from there, I'm going to be connecting it all the way to that place I got 1 inch. From my bust line, I came down with 1 inch. I'm going to be connecting it together. You can use your free hand, you can still use your ruler to achieve a straight line, just like the way I'm doing. So I'm going to mark that just like this. So after that, what I'll be doing, I'm going to be coming down from my hip line. I'm going to be marking 3, and I'm also going to be marking 3 at my M line. That's the length of my dress. So the next thing I'm going to do is to use my ruler from that waistline. I'm going to mark a straight line all the way down. So this is how it's going to look like. So that part is going to serve as our dart area. So the next thing we're going to do is to take the body of our dress. Please, if you've watched to this extent and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe turn on the notification button. Don't forget to like, leave a comment below if necessary, and share. So what I'm going to do now is to take the body of our dress. So I'm going to be measuring my bust measurement divided by 4, and whatever I'm getting, which I did earlier, but I'm going to add extra allowance to it. So whatever I'll be getting, I'm going to be adding extra 2-inch or 1.5 inch allowance, depending on how you want your allowance to look like. But I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch of allowance. So that is going to serve as our sewing allowance. I'm going to be reconnecting it from the armhole there. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to take my waist measurement divide by 4. I'm going to mark that down, and whatever I am getting, I'm going to add extra, because the dart I just made is not going to come into the dress. So I'm going to be taking that all the way there, which is 2. I'm going to be marking 2 down, and I'm going to be giving it extra 1-inch sewing allowance. So that is it. So I'm going to be taking, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my hip measurement. So my hip measurement divide by 4 as well, and whatever I'm getting, I'm still going to add 2-inch, and I'm going to add extra 1 inch on my sewing allowance, making it 3-inch sewing allowance. So I'm going to be marking that all the way down. So this part now, whatever I am getting for my hip, I'm going to be adding 1 or 2. After adding that allowance, I'm going to be adding 1 or 2 or 3, depending. You can add 2, you can add 3, you can add 1, depending on how free you want the down area to be. So after getting my hip measurement, I'm going to take my tape down to the length of my dress, and whatever I got from my hip measurement, I'm going to be adding extra 2-inch allowance for me to get that free part of the dress. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to use my ruler to connect all that points I just made. So I'm going to be connecting it just like this. Watch closely. So after reconnecting my body parts, this is what I'll be getting. So the next thing I'm going to do is to use my scissors to cut all that out. So guys, please pay close attention to this part. What I did here is I took 2-inch down from my chest line. You can take 1 inch depending on how deep you want your bust area, your chest line to be. If you want it open, you're going to use 2. If you want it closed a little, you're going to be using 1 inch. You'll be coming down with 1 inch from your chest line, and you're going to curve that into the armhole. You're just going to curve it into the arm. Make sure it gets to the armhole. That is what I did here. So that is going to be serving as the yoke of our dress. So I'm going to use my scissors to cut that out. I'm not going to be using that part anymore, but I'm going to be using it to draft out my yoke area for the Chantilly lace I told you guys we're going to be using for this dress. So after cutting it, this is what your dress is going to look like. This is what that area is going to look like. As you can see, mine went down deep. That is why I said if you don't want yours to go deep that much, you can come down with 1 inch from your chest line. So this is it. This is the body of our dress, and that is the yoke of our dress. So the next thing we are going to do now is to get that Chantilly lace, place our body of our lace with the yoke of our lace together like this. And please, while I did that, you're going to fold your Chantilly lace or whatever lace you're working with. You're going to fold it into 2. I didn't show that on the camera because the lace was a little, like, it was hard to work with. It was dancing all over, so I had to do that off camera. But you just have to turn your lace into 2, and you're going to cut it. And while cutting it, please, you're going to pay close attention to this part, where if you get to the waistline, you're going to stop cutting, and what you're going to do is to remove the body of your dress and the yoke of your dress, and you're going to cut that part you're just going to cut it from the parts, cut it out from the parts you just stopped. That is going to serve for our front area. I just pray you guys understand what I did here. I placed the body of my lace on the chantilly lace, the body of my dress on the chantilly lace, and I dripped it out of the chantilly lace, but I stopped at the waistline. So what I'm going to be doing next is by this you're going to make it, when you wear the dress, it's going to look as if you are wearing the chantilly lace under the dress. Nobody will know it's being cut, like it's being sewed all together. So this is it, guys. So the next thing we're going to do here is to get our back dress, and for that I'm going to use my front dress to cut out my back dress. It's the same thing, just that the difference is I'm going to be leaving 2 inches out of the dress for my zipper allowance. So this is it, guys. Make sure you set it very well. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is from that part which I left for my zipper allowance, I'm going to be marking 2. I'm going to make sure it's 2 because that part is going to have an opening. So from that 2, I'm going to mark it all the way down, a straight line all the way down. So after that, I'm going to take 1 inch, half inch out from that place I marked 2 from my waistline. I'm going to be taking half inch out. That's the why I'm taking the half inch out, is it is going to make my zip, is going to prevent my zip from bulging out at the back. So you're going to see me doing that from the waistline. Take half an inch and you're going to curve it down into the straight line we just made, up and down like this. It's going to prevent your zip from bulging after putting your zip in your dress. So after doing that, what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and cut my fabric and drip up my back. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut the back, my back yoke. So I'm going to be using the front yoke to also cut the back yoke. The difference is going to be the neck. You know, I told you we're making a turtleneck dress, so I'm going to be cutting it out, and when I get to the neck part, I'm going to come up just the way I did to achieve that turtle neckline. So this is for our back area. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take my dress and drip out a lining for it. So this is the lining, but you're going to make the lining about 1 or 2 inch shorter than your actual dress. That way it's going to prevent the lining from coming out after making your dress. So you're going to use that pin to hold it down so it's not going to dance away, and you're going to take it to your sewing machine and sew it down. So I am done sewing it, and after that I turned it back. So for this part, there is a place I marked out for my dart. That area I'm going to use my pin to hold it down, and I'm going to turn it all the way around the other side, and I'm going to also use a pin to hold that area. So that way we're going to be having 2-way darts for our dress. So this is it, guys. After sewing my darts down, I went ahead to iron my fabric. Please do, when doing this, also note that you're going to be ironing your fabric, so you're going to be having a clean work just like this, and it's going to make you see what you're doing properly. So what I'm going to do now is to place my dress on my chantilly lace this way. This is why I said when you do this, it's going to look as if you're wearing another dress inside your dress. So I'm going to take that to my sewing machine and sew that all the way down. I'm going to sew the armhole side, and please don't sew the chest area. You're going to see how I illustrated that with my hands. So I'm going to sew that down. So after sewing it down, what I'll be doing now is to place my fabric, my 2 fabric into it. I'll be stopping here because because this video is quite long. The aim of this video is to understand how to make this dress, so I don't want to get you guys confused. So on my next tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how I went about for the sleeve area. So guys, please, if you come to this length and you haven't subscribed, I am still begging, please subscribe, turn on the notification button so you get notified whenever we come online. You're going to see the part where I used another lining to achieve the other part, because mine wasn't enough. That was why I said if you want to go about this dress, you're going to have 2 yards lining to achieve a perfect dress. So thank you so much for watching, and I would like to know what you think about this dress down the comment section. Please don't forget to like and share this video. See you on my next tutorial. Bye.